Actually, the most. My name is Felipe Engineer Manriquez. By day, I work for a large multi-billion-dollar general contractor, spreading lean construction principles, techniques, most importantly, focusing on the values that enable the best type of work possible.
I can't go into the other room and make this movie.
Trying to make juice right now?
I'm trying to get you to spray your call.
What do you think I'm gonna do? I got up way earlier than I thought it was going to.
Mhm. Thank you. Are you going to say something to me?
Just remember, just because you.
I can be heard, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear all that sniffling. All of it.
Don't know how to do it, man. I don't know how to do it. I'm like trying to get ready to talk and I have to turn the bolt off. Don't know what to do.
Unmute your regular mic on Clubhouse and then talk.
But I can't do it if that's muted.
You don't get it.
You're saying do that one first.
Yes.
Okay.
So that didn't come through, huh? I tried to hit the button on the roadcaster. Can you show me something real quick? If I'm on the bank, is this the current bank? If I change the bank, does it just change the buttons over there? I thought I could press it on here.
No.
Okay, so, but if wherever bank I am in, I should be able to press this button and it'll work for that. Is that correct?
Only reason why I have this open is because I was putting stuff in there.
How do I switch each bank? How do I know which bank I'm in?
Right here. Bank 1, bank 2.
I'm sorry, how did you get to that?
Just go back to home.
Okay, thanks.
Bank.
I see it.
Right now you're in bank 1.
I'm sorry, what?
Is it picking up this laptop?
Up at the Plus Delta and said, "You just wasted my time. I'm never going to get this time back. Nothing you said is going to help me do my job better. Thank you for nothing." And it was actually a little more harsh than that. That was like my favorite Plus Delta gen of all time because I realized how big of a delta I had made that session. But what I learned as I applied PDCA to myself, some of the other people were a little more kind. It wasn't a total flop. It wasn't like I read from 1,000-word slides, but I did have quite a slideshow. And when I realized like these things that I found exciting and interesting, and that this one person that invited me found exciting and interesting, the safety person was right. We didn't give people anything that they can action with. So I pivoted. I started adapting my approach. And that job was a 3-year long project. There were supposed to be multiple engagements between me and that project team. I was never, ever invited back to that project, ever. So that first impression stung multiple people, just like it did that very honest safety person whose feedback I appreciate, cherish, and love. Fast forward, I went to another project in February of this year that invited me. Same type of story. The person, different part of the country. Person invited me huge into history. They're like, we want to learn everything that there is to learn about lean. And I said, everything? And they were like, everything. Perfect timing, Adam. Exactly.
Getting better.
So I was like queued up. I was going to bring it with all of my stuff. And then I remember that safety professional all those years ago and how I had pivoted. And I smiled. So this time with this team, I decided that it's going to be a multi-day engagement. I'm going to fix the problem of not getting enough interactions with the team by embedding myself there for a week. So I'm at least going to have 5 at-bats as a countermeasure to the first mistake of a pop in and pop out. So then on day 1, all I focused on was meeting the people exactly where they are. And at one point during the first day, the person invited me sets up a meeting. To my surprise, I was not aware of said meeting until someone said, hey, it's time for the meeting. And this was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, oh, what is the meeting? And it's like, oh, the lean meeting where you're going to do a presentation. Well, this enthusiastic partner was so excited and had heard over the years that I do have presentations that I do, which I do, that they thought I was just going to snap up there, throw a PowerPoint slide deck on their team of 40 people and lay down some lean knowledge. So I didn't. So I followed the Jen Lacey playbook, and I facilitated a conversation with 40 said people. And people were like shocked how engaging it was. And when the meeting time was over, most of the people didn't leave. They stayed and continued dialoguing with each other and, of course, some with me. And then that set the tone for the entire rest of the engagement, which was highly engaging. Many one-on-ones. We're doing some ride-alongs. It was a solar site, so a ride-along is really like riding along at 15 miles an hour on a dirt road. It's exciting, especially when you go off-road. But there were some exciting moments where it got kind of hairy for some little Ford Escapes out in the desert. And the approach was just totally different. I learned from my failure to meet people where they are, not where I want them to be or where I think they are. So by asking questions, you can't mess that up. You just ask questions so you can figure out where the needs are immediately. And so over the course of that week, riding along with different folks, we found out a couple of things that were not optimized for easier, better, faster construction. And by talking to the team, the brilliance of the team members, the genius of the people that we have, there were thousands of ideas, Adam, to put in play, but there wasn't a process to allow those ideas to come forward and be encouraged or allowed to be experimented with. And so one of the things that we found out in one of these ride-alongs, we had a very experienced person, a 40-year veteran of construction. And some of their early ideas had been ignored or just not appreciated by the team leadership of the superintendent and a newer PM. And so they kind of got disenfranchised and stopped bringing ideas forward. And this came out in one of the one-on-ones. And it wasn't because the superintendent was evil. It was because the superintendent, like all good superintendents, felt the pressure and responsibility of doing a good job. And so they don't always stop and listen to the great ideas. One of the great ideas that this 40-year veteran had was, what if we create packets of work that are highly visual so that people working in different phases, when they switch tasks, they can get onboarded to a highly visual, with photographs, packet of information that says what the work is, what success is, and what are the goal rates that they should be achieving with said work. And I'm talking about a handful of pictures in less than 5 pages, 8.5 by 11, or if you're in anywhere except the United States, an A4, that size paper. And I said, that's a great idea. I was like, let's put that into play. And people are like, really? Like, that's lean. I was like, yeah, that's an improvement. It's taking the time to be with the people doing the work, showing them what success is, getting feedback from them, and the instructions don't have to be over the top detailed. That way you're leaving it open for improvement steps from them doing the work as well. I was like, that's brilliant. That was one of dozens of improvements that were made in a 5-day cycle. When I first landed there, I asked the team, as Marcus had said at the beginning of this, I taught the team how to use this phrase, asking for a friend, or on a friend's job site, so that we can not criticize each other. Is that's introduced a process to let people criticize or bring forward contrary ideas to discuss and debate without charging it as my idea versus your idea or me versus you. So that was a really good thing that we introduced. And we got a lot of times I would hear something from someone and they would say, I don't want, I want to keep this anonymous, keep this between us. And I said, all right, I'm just going to do I heard from a friend type of thing. And because I do get around a little bit as I travel around the country. And so we used that in conversation. We came back and huddled up at the end of the week. A couple of people said that they'd heard from a friend on another job site of some different types of ideas. And some of that was legit. Like, people have worked on multiple projects in their career. So it's not uncommon that you can actually hear from a friend. Right, Brittanie?
Yes, this is very true. um, Felipe, I love the story. I've been listening in for a while here now, and um, I have a interesting. Well, I think it's interesting. It's been my experience, and then I also have a comment about that growth mindset that organizations can take. Felipe, early on, you asked the question, do people have a story that they can share about how they've implemented lean on projects? How have they done so? And I like what you shared just now about the integration of, like, you learned from your lesson, and then you shifted your training style completely, and you said, let's go ahead and do lean by as part of the training. So you actually uncovered something for me, that I did something wrong in the past, which is great. It makes me feel really, really, really good that I failed, and now I've actually learned a lesson from it. So I guess my story is this. I've been learning about lean for a very long time now. Maybe, well, I say very long, 2014, 2015. I heard a presentation for the first time about how in some project picked it up as as an approach, and was able to use Last Planner, as they called it at the time, and they were able to shave 6 weeks off of the schedule. And I was blown away because of the time I was reviewing liquidated damages for public projects, day after day after day. And so for me, it was incredible that was even possible by simply having really smart conversations with people who are the last planners, the people who are actually planning the last phases of the work and coordinating. Um, so I was hooked from that day on. But as far as implementation goes, um, I went back to my organizations and I asked, well, why is this not something that's standard and being taught for most people to implement on your projects? Like, I don't understand why this is not commonplace. Um, I couldn't get a good answer. And so I went down the deep rabbit hole that that I'm still down, of learning from people who are doing it right, whether I'm interviewing, and I say doing it right by continuously improving, not necessarily have 100% figured it out. There is no expert in lean. You're always growing, and that is the mindset that you have to have. Actually, somebody corrected me. I had told them one day, I said, I'd love to become a lean master. And they said, well, you'll never be that because no one is. So I thought that was really cool. Um, but yeah, I recognized that when I started learning about lean, I said, okay, well, let me learn, some really key concepts and do a presentation at work. And this was my failure. This was my failure, Felipe. I did a presentation, and matter of fact, I did two. I laid them out really clearly. I said, okay, yep, this is what it's all about. This is the bit. I even used the business case for lean that LCI put out, about the certainty around cost, the certainty around schedule, um, and I was able to share that. Yep, this is the mindset shift that you can get, right? It's a really it's a culture-based shift. And I talked about some of the tools that can be utilized, and it was an excellent presentation. Um, but at the end of it, they asked me, there are a number of individuals who asked me, well, how does it benefit the organization? I don't see how it helps our bottom line. So working as a consultant where, um, there's a mindset that we're there basically to guide the process. Um, any way we do it, and from the perspective of a project management there in the first place, is going to help hands down, simply because project management would not have been in place if we were not consulting. So at the time, as an owner's rep, that was that was I don't know if that was everybody's mindset, but that's what I understood as a result of some of the questions that came back. But they also said to me, it sounds like what you're talking about is just simply good project management. And I said, well, you're right, it is, right? It's being agile. Um, it's being open to picking up things that work, including these things, including these methods. But you have to try them. Like, you can't just, say, I'm going to stick with these same project management tools that I've been doing all the time. Um, See if you can take advantage of these specific ones that have been proven time and time and time and time again. Um, Not ironically, this was my learning from my failure. No one adopted lean, unless the client specifically asked for it, at my owner's rep organization as a result of that presentation. So, um, yeah, that was really, really interesting. And thankfully, I've pivoted. Thankfully, I do less talking, I do less presenting, and when it comes to lean, I simply ask a lot of questions now. Now that I'm managing a team of internal owners reps, I ask them which tool they think might work for this particular problem that they have. I ask more about the problem than I care about talking about lean, because lean itself, you could use an acronym or you could consider lean a 4-letter word. And lots of people do not like lean as a concept because it disrupts their work style. So I just throw that out completely and say, well, which tool can we use that is best suited for your problem so that we can eliminate the waste or reduce the obstacles that we have in place. And I have them ideate and tell me. And then I say, oh, guess what? There just so happens to be this thing that we can utilize. I don't care if it's an actual lean tool. It could be something else completely different that allows for continuous improvement. And that's been my approach. So that's my story. I did want to call out a really cool book that I just encountered not too long ago. There's a really good friend of mine. I've known her forever. She actually does diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting for public law firms. They support um, publicly, the law firms themselves, and she talks about diversity from a perspective where there is different. There might be like 15 different categories um, of culture. And it's not just limited to, ethnic or gender diversity. It's down to how you make decisions and the way you approach thought, right? Like how how are you biased in your thought? It's a really, really interesting approach that she has. So a book that she introduced me to is it's actually called "And Every One Culture: Becoming a Deliberately Developmental Organization." And I've just started reading the book, but the concept about becoming a deliberately developmental organization is around the growth of the individual for the purpose of their advancement in whatever it is that they believe will allow them to bring their best selves to a skill or to work or even back at home, right? Like, how do you provide those growth experiences and to employees? What ends up being the result, which I loved when they were talking about, is if an organization has that the deliberately developmental approach, they actually increase their bottom line because people are willing to put more into the work because they know that they're cared for. They know that they have a place, a space where they can grow. And I think that what you were talking about just recently, Felipe, about giving that space, that safe space for people to come and share their ideas, even if it is from a asking for a friend perspective. Um, it it gives people a sense of I can get what I need by coming to this space, and I can honestly, even if I'm not 100% comfortable being my true self, my true authentic self, I can still get what I need for my growth experience and subsequently for the project and subsequently for the organization. So that's my piece.
I love that, Brittany. And the
Oh man.
story has a happy ending, Brittany. The team was arguably 6 to 7 weeks behind schedule when we started, and 1 month later they closed the gap without using any particular lean tools. They just changed some things that were frustrating them, and they got on schedule. But originally, one of the people said, "We're just going to throw pool planning at this and just fix it." But pool planning as a countermeasure wasn't the first countermeasure. The first countermeasure was that people focus. So, like you said, how can we have a team culture where everyone can grow? And that's the first thing we did. And they accelerated. So, as their capacity continues and the learning continues, one day they'll get to play with Last Planner system and accelerate even faster with less effort. But that's not the day. What's up, Jesse? What you got?
Well, just Brittany, you were speaking to me. The takeaway that really resonates with me, and it's woven through you and both yours and Felipe's stories, is addressing the problem that the individuals or the team are dealing with. Uh, too many too many times I have done this, and I've seen many lean experts, lean masters come into a room with this menu of tools, and thou shalt use every damn tool. And that really doesn't serve anybody. But when we understand and appreciate the problems that the people in the team are experiencing and dealing with, then we are better prepared to serve them. And you mentioned the book. I didn't catch the title of the book, but so please, because my attention gets spread too thin sometimes.
No worries.
I'd like. What
I,
was the title of the book?
I got it for you here, Jesse. And every one culture, becoming a deliberately developmental organization, it is written by Robert Keegan.
Robert Keegan.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
You know, it reminded me of a story here recently around people creating a space. Well, I'm weaving both of y'all stories together, right? Creating a space where people have rather not have, where their comfort level of being vulnerable and sharing their thoughts and their creativity, because that's an uncomfortable, for me, it is an incredibly uncomfortable thing for me to voice an idea, because the fear is somebody's going to tell me it's dumb, because in my history, guess what? A bunch of people told me it was dumb. And so I just become conditioned because of the environments that we're in to not say anything, to refrain from sharing my thought. And my hypothesis is if I've had that experience, many people have had that experience. And we were running some improvement extra Kaizen events, if you will, to generally cover it out on a major project. And there were a couple of things. We made the first observation, like people really aren't, when we got to the idea phase for improvement ideas, we always started with kind of like a bunch, and then usually one or two people were the ones giving most of the ideas, and then the small, very small percentage of the ideas that were discussed actually got tested. And so I said, man, this ain't cool, like I got to do something about this. And I took a page out of my improv days. And so there's this exercise, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's no, yes but, and yes and so we
Oh
run
yeah,
through. You knew that? You know that one, Felipe?
that's why we run our live streams, Jesse. It's always yes
Ah,
and.
yes, and my man, yes,
I'm from the
and
second city, baby, Chicago,
watch
improv capital of the
out.
world. Go, Jesse, go.
Yo, thank you. And so when we started doing that with the learners, and we did it strategically right before the brainstorming phase for the improvement ideas. And just like the exercise of no, yes, but, and yes, and, where the final round is the most exciting round, we had the most amazing improvement ideas. And we didn't talk ourselves out of a great idea. And all the learners in the final two rounds were like, man, that if we not done that, I probably wouldn't have said very much. And then like the super magical piece is once we come up with in the classroom with all these improvement ideas, we take the improvement ideas to the workers, to the individuals that we've been studying, and present them to the workers, and they get the final say. They get to say, yeah, that's a great idea, but I'm not gonna do it because X, Y, and Z, which was rare, but it did happen. And they also, like, the ideas that we thought were amazing, when we presented it to them, they just augmented and tweaked and added a little bit more or took a little bit off, and they were amazing to which resulted in one case complete removal from the job site of 1,200 man hours worth of drilling into steel that all got moved up to manufacturing. So 1,200 man hours, that's dollars, right? That's big dollars. This was electricians. 12, and within those 1,200 man hours, there was 100% exposure to risk of soft tissue issues, uh, debris in eyes, just quality. This was a data center, by the way, so metal shavings on the floor is like not good. And they picked up about a day and a half per cell because that work wasn't going to be happening on site. But it was because we came up with the crazy ideas in the room. And the way we came up with those crazy ideas was through this little exercise to help people build the comfort level with one, sharing their ideas, and two, not poo-pooing on other people's ideas. And So that was a wonderful takeaway. It was an idea. We tested it. It worked. We've made it part of the system. It's continuing to work. My partner up in Omaha was running the same learning activities. He adopted it, and he's experienced immense results. And the reason I want to bring it up is the culture thing. It's these types of things where we need to reframe or reboot people's system, like the way they're thinking and operating in their head is a result of the way we do business. And so when we bring them into this new lean space of creative thinking and PDCA testing, trying, a lot of us in our industry are handcuffed by this perfection paralysis, and we must be hitting grand slams every time we go up to bat. And when you're transitioning into the thinking of continuous improvement, the word is continuous. It is not perfectly improved. It is not improved without error. It is continuous improvement. And within that, it means you're going to be learning, and you're going to be learning, guess how? Through a whole lot of missteps. I'm Jesse, and I'm done speaking.
Oh, watch out. Good job, Jesse. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining, this is the PropTech Lean Construction Roundtable. We're talking about stories of how lean construction has changed the lives of the people working on job sites all across the beautiful planet Earth, which we all call home. I just want to thank all the people listening down below. If you want to come up on stage, raise your beautiful hand, and we will yank you from the audience and put you on stage to say hello and ask your question of these beautiful speakers up here. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. And in case you don't know, tap that greenhouse next to PropTech in Clubhouse and follow this group of folks. This Lean Construction Roundtable is coming at you every Thursday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the Golden State. Hello, Stephanie. Say hello.
Tappity tap tap.
Hello, people. Hello. I was in another room and didn't know whether it was smart to get out and come here or what to do. So I'm interested to find out what our theme is today, and I want to query the group and just see if there's perhaps, is there a larger idea that we're trying to achieve in this room aside from the weekly valuable stories that are exchanged back and forth?
Yes, I'll go first. I'm going to jump on that grenade. I take this grenade, Brittany. I got it. All right. For me, Stephanie, coming to this Lean Construction Roundtable every single Thursday, and Marcus, I'm almost batting 1,000. I think my batting average is like 800 right now on attending this room. My point of coming here is that it aligns with my purpose and what I'm doing. And Brittany, shameless plug, Brittany, she's going to interview me on LinkedIn Live tomorrow morning. Brittany will holler at y'all with that exact time in a second. And we're going to talk about this even more. Why do I show up to this room and share these stories with you lovely people from planet Earth that I'm sharing a home with? And the reason I do that, Stephanie, is because I've had bad experiences in construction, and I want people that are new to the industry and that are thinking about our industry and that are still in the industry to have an opportunity that I didn't always have when I was younger in my career. I want people to have the option to have an amazing experience in what they do. And as an organization, if you like doing what you do, then your organization, Stephanie, has to survive. And if it's going to survive, it should be thriving if it's going to go longer term. But if it's not thriving and it's dying, but you like it and you have a hand in how things are going, then we want to share with people things that they can do to shift from survival mode to thriving mode. That's one of my ultimate purposes here. But I'll let the others speak for themselves. And we'll say hi to Anthony. Jesse, I'm sure you got something. Why are you coming here every week, Jesse?
Well, right now I'm coming because I'm on vacation, baby. Normally it's difficult for me to get in at this time of the day because I like to get an early start out on the job site or with the people that I'm serving. One is almost an echo of what you said, Felipe. Part of what I've learned being a ravenous learner is I have also a responsibility to share my perspective and my thought. And I shared a little earlier in that my early understanding of continuous improvement was fixing people and pushing output. And I feel like that happens a lot. I see that in people so many times on project teams, and they're missing, right? Like they're just missing it. And so I want to come and make sure that I'm talking, sharing my story from a very personal space, retrospectively or introspectively, to help people really latch on to this. Is not about fixing others. This is about unlocking just immense opportunity and discovering talents that you may not be aware of that can be deployed to improve a situation for people, for everybody else around you. And sometimes it's a little woo woo, but that's just where I come from. Also, if you can't tell, I spent a little time getting in trouble out there, and I want to make sure that folks that come from a checkered or animated background, messing around with the law out there in the trades. Like, we're all welcome here. And if I don't show up and speak the way I speak and just roll the way I roll, that leaves room for people to say, "Ooh, these people are super highly intelligent, have massive impact in the companies, in the industries, in the spaces that they play in, and maybe I don't belong." And so if I come up quick and dirty, and there's somebody out there that happens into the room that's also quick and dirty, they know that it's okay. We can play too. Uh, Stephanie, I'm not sure if I've been able to answer your question, but that's the answer to Felipe's question. I'm Jesse, and I'm done speaking.
I would like to hear Brittany and Marcus's opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so let me ask the question. Let me make sure I have the question correctly, Stephanie. Why are we meeting and doing a lean construction roundtable on Thursday mornings? Just want to make sure, is that the question you're asking?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand where where this is all going. What is the bigger vision?
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So actually, Marcus, can you start off the answer and then I'll finish up?
Marcus is like, I got to follow the smoothie I've been making for the past hour.
That's a good smoothie. That's thick,
He's just
baby.
like,
It,
he's taking a big hit.
it was an amazing, it was an amazing smoothie. We had some audio difficulties earlier in this show, so I was trying to figure out why they were happening. So uh, probably something I can add to my plus deltas. So um, one of the things, or why the lean construction roundtable started in the beginning, was it just started from a really simple need, or a simple observation, is that we enjoy talking with the people from the LCI community, and we wanted to find a better way that wanted to collaborate on projects, and be able to educate people about of how to improve themselves on those projects. So it's really simple, from my perspective on that. What is involved into, to me, um,
Mm.
it's more of trying to create a movement, or trying to create a wave of trying to be more, how to um, respect our teammates, how to be more accountable to each other, and trying to build more and more of that momentum of showing people there is a better way, instead of this top down. command and control way. I was a part of a organization that kind of functioned that way for a while, and that was no fun. So I pretty much almost shifted industries. So, and I know a few other people who have as well. And I enjoy this community quite a
Mm.
bit. I don't know, Brittany, if I am.
I like to hear your perspective first, because we talk about this a lot, Stephanie, which is part of the reason why I wanted Marcus to kick it off. Um, I think Marcus hit the nail on the head. It's developed into a community where it is not only focusing on solution finding, solving problems by listening, like listening to the stories that are talked about here. I don't know how many times, Stephanie, where I come out of these conversations and I say, man, this topic that we talked about, I'm applying it right away. I literally go to my email and send people emails about specific things on how to solve hurdles that they're like actually experiencing on their product projects, like within a week of us talking about a particular topic. Um, for me, it is it's like a source of it's like it's like I needed a river. I didn't realize I needed this, but I needed a river where I could get my thirst quenched. And wow, I'm getting emotional, guys. This is what you do for me. I'm getting my thirst quenched because I realized that I needed to have people who are constantly like minded, thinking about culture change, thinking about how to how to make impactful steps in their organizations, in their projects, in order to actually improve like their lives and like literally be more fulfilled in their work. That is what this lean construction roundtable allows for me. And it's about building a community who cares about doing those same things. So that is what that's the goal here, right? Like it's creating a community for people to have that kind of um that same kind of feeling, like they have somewhere to like they where they belong, that they can bring their problems to the table. If we literally anybody who comes to this room, if anybody's has a specific problem, you can hop up on stage, ask a question, say, "I'm dealing with this crap right now. What would you guys do? Like, what would you use?" That's the kind of solutioning that I expect to happen in this community. Um, it's not just about growing a club and having numbers. It's about getting people who really need the help to get the help. I often saw rooms where lots of people who are in real estate were talking about embarking on construction projects, and oftentimes I would listen in and hear things that don't make sense to me. So in creating the prop tech club, my hope was, and this is still a growing thing and it's in progress, and we're still working on developing more of a real estate perspective and inviting people here. But property technology, I was hoping that there would be people interested in property innovation, right? Not just like the churn and burn kind of real estate approach. Actually wanting to care about like innovation in technology and moving forward with property in mind, and coming to this space and being able to again get fed in many different ways, including um, including with including ways with, or what am I trying to say? Including changes to the approach of embarking on construction itself, not just the design, not just how it's actually going to function. So you'll realize that that is a common theme. But yeah, that's it. We want to feed the community.
I really like the river analogy. I think I think that is true of what has happened. Certainly, as many times as I've showing up in the room. And I do think that it's also really nice to me that there's not somehow the people that are in this room more often don't show up bombastically or lead with the money. We all know that the money and the funding and the developers and all of the things that make a project be a project um, wouldn't exist without it. But um, that is not what envelops the conversation in the room. And thank you for everybody that just spoke up in terms of their own perspective, because certainly all of you that did talk, you walk your talk in the room in that way. So I like the river analogy. I think it really tied together what's actually happening in the room. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Stephanie. We really appreciate your direct questioning. I love when you always. I love the questions you ask, and I love what it uncovers. Um, Marcus, did you have something?
I was kind of curious of hearing what Anthony had to say.
I got a haircut this morning.
You did?
My barber never went on break during COVID either, so I was fortunate. No, but to Stephanie's question, we don't charge $4.99 for the information that we share to get into some lean construction course to gain valuable information. We're all generous people. I love the name Roundtable because the more of us that are at the round table, we make the table whole. One of us alone does not complete the puzzle or complete the circle, so to speak. And the information that we share, if you're in any of these rooms with this team, and there's more that maybe aren't here today, but I do want to acknowledge that there are others that also contribute routinely. If your ears are open and you're attentive, you're going to learn something. And the people here are very generous and giving of their time and giving of valuable information. It does us nothing good to hold strategies and competencies and um, ways to help others, either professionally in their career or for a business. Um, if we don't share that, it does mean no good keeping all the information that I have. If I want to make a larger impact and help others, I share that information freely. Um, Once in a great while, if someone comes back to me repeatedly for help or advice, they do know that there'll be a small compensation fee. But most people know that I'll give my time freely, even one on one, for an hour, and without a blink of an eye. And I'm sure a lot of others here do too. And we foster knowledge sharing. Um, and I can't tell you how many times I come in, and generally I'll be in the background listening because I love learning. And there's so much to learn. And the people who think that they know everything and don't pay attention or don't listen in because they think there's nothing else to learn, that they know everything, those are the ones that miss out on real opportunities to get to know new ways of doing things, get to know new people, get to know new companies. You know what? Again, it's not about followers. I've been at 600 and some followers probably for 2 or 3 months. I'm not here to try to gain followers. I'm not here for a popularity contest. I'm here for valuable information sharing. And these are some of the greatest people I've come across on the platform. My name is Anthony. I'm stopping there.
Man, that is beautiful, Anthony. Go for it, Adam. What you got to add on to that?
Well, it's hard to add on to that, but I like Anthony. Sometimes I just close my mouth and listen a lot in rooms, and I learn so much from everybody. I loved the river comment Brittany made earlier, and my like for my spiritual journey, I've been on this a river of living waters, and that's the only way I can explain it. When spiritually I'm touched in such a way where I get like this feeling in my belly, and I'm like urged, like, and it's like this adrenaline to go and do something better for the world. And um, that's the feeling I get when we're in this room, right? Like when learning is being had between everybody, and you know, I've had an article up called the Toyota. Everybody's heard of the Toyota production system. We talked about Toyota a little bit earlier, but this one is a different spin on it, and it's a bunch of people collaborated. Art Smalley, Michael Ballet, or a couple of and Felipe, I had no idea you're connected to Deming in such a fashion. Like I'm so excited about that and have a million questions. But these folks wrote, they took the Toyota production system and called it the thinking production system. And so again, to kind of tie this whole thing back together, right? We're constantly learning and teaching and while we're talking and everything that we're doing. And so that's why when Brittany mentioned the rivers, and my brain immediately goes to the rivers of living water. Like the water is living because we're drinking from this pool, but we're also like putting back into this pool, and then picking up what we put in. And it's so much different when we look at it that next time. And like it just, Anthony's participate. Like I love listening to Anthony speak. He's always just so educated on everything. I don't know how he does it, but it just, when you go into a conversation with the intention to learn something from anybody, like my wand, I had a conversation with him this past week. I learned so much from my wand that, um, again, Mawan, I'd love for you to come up here and teach the stage something. I mean, if you have the capacity, I know it might be later, but it's just going into every conversation, every interaction that you have with the intention to learn something is really powerful. And I think we missed that boat in construction a lot. But the tide is changing thanks to folks like Felipe and Jesse, and those who are leading the way with podcasts and allowing platforms for people to speak up. Marcus, Brittany, y'all as well. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Again, tough to follow Anthony, but certainly appreciate and value everybody in this room and the learnings that I'm able to extract from this river of living waters.
Yeah, I love that. And even Brittany and Marcus have been, for me, Adam, have been just like so foundational in my journey as I've been going after this. I kind of discovered Lean around the same time as Brittany, and been on a path. I remember going to an LCI event, Brittany, and one of these capital L, big L Lean people, one of these experts, heard me speaking. This was like 2 years into me getting started with it, and they asked me like what country was I from, and like where did I study lean, and where did I learn all this, where did I get my like master's degree in lean. And I said I've only read like the same 3 books like 70 times to try to understand some of these concepts and bring it to construction. And I just thought that was just so hilarious. And then I realized, oh my God, there's like a in crew and an out crew. And I just tried to stay on the out crew as much as possible because I get exposed to more at bats to learn so that I never arrive. I never want to arrive. I want to just keep learning. So I want to grow up to be like Anthony one day, get awesome haircuts.
Land of the misfit toys.
I love being on the out crew. Sometimes, like you said earlier, Felipe, folks don't appreciate or value that when you challenge status quo and ask, why are we doing that?
Yeah, most time they don't appreciate it. Don't rock the apple cart. And I always tell them, like, if you look at my other hand, you'll see that it's got a gasoline can and a match. This apple cart's going to burn.
I love that. I'm gonna use that.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so we love having you all here. This is what we're doing. We're bringing Maywan up to the stage. Coming to the stage. Maywan, come on up. Say hi to everybody.
Hi to everybody, and I hope that everyone doing amazing. The reason is that I'm joining this amazing community. I met so amazing people in this room, in this community, and I'm pretty new in construction. I just graduated from civil engineering this year, and I love to learn more about construction. And I didn't had any idea what lean construction mean, and I learned like from this community by watching like Felipe YouTube channel and joining this amazing room. Yeah, appreciate that for making amazing events like that, and I'm very glad that I'm one of member of this community. And yeah, I will join again, and I will listen more. And I'm done speaking. This is my want.
Maiwan, why don't you tell people more about your background? Because I think you have a very unique voice in the world, let alone in this room.
Sure. I'm from Afghanistan, and I grew up there. I was also refugee in Pakistan too, and then we moved to Afghanistan, and I finished my high school in Afghanistan. And because of war, we moved to Turkey, and I'm almost living in Turkey for 5 years. And I finished my bachelor degree in civil engineering, and I just graduated from university this year. And now I'm still looking for job opportunity, and I hope I will get a job in Turkey. It's a kind of hard to get a job opportunity in Turkey because they have like many rules for foreigners if they want to work in Turkey. And yeah, I'm just trying to build my network and to know more people and construction. And yeah, that's about me. And
Oh,
I love
Maywan, I got you came to this room perfect timing. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of Clubhouse. I just so happen to have a very good friend in Turkey by the name of Tolga. I'm going to jump on LinkedIn when we get done, and I'm going to connect you to my friend Tolga, who I've personally indoctrinated into the Scrum way of working. He's actually a Scrum master working in construction. He's a beautiful human being, and I think I'll connect the two of you. He's lived his whole life in Turkey. Some magic's going to happen. I'm going to sprinkle some Clubhouse pixie dust on you right now. Thank you, Adam. There it is. And we'll make something happen very soon.
Wow, appreciate that. Thanks so much. And that's the one of the good thing about Clubhouse. You know, you don't know who will you meet and with who you will build your network. That's amazing. Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
That's what we do here in this room, right, Adam?
Yeah, we care about people, Felipe. We approach every conversation, every interaction with the intention to learn something. And so, with that, I mean, my one taught me that, from a refugee perspective, if you're living in another country, that there are almost like I hate to use the word class, but there's a disrespect for Maiwan because he's not from Turkey. He's not native from Turkey, yet he was chased out of where, like, I could not imagine not being able to go back to my house. And so Maiwan, I love our conversation, valued it so much. Is so happy to have you in this room where it's just a bunch of people who care for people. So to go all the way full circle back to Stephanie's question and with Brittanie getting emotional, I mean, that, like, just this connection right here, that's it. Like, that's the purpose of prop tech in this room of lean thought leaders who are not just thinking. It's the thinking production system, and we're learning, but we're also acting, and we're doing, and we're in. Again, every conversation is intentional, trying to learn and get better and improve as human beings on this planet. So, man, the power, yeah, as Felipe said, the power of Clubhouse, or the reason for the room, the why, the purpose, right there. So I love it, Maiwan. I love your story. You need to tell it more, and hopefully we can continue to follow you and applaud your journey the whole way.
Appreciate that, Mr. Thanks so much. Yeah, we had such amazing conversation with Adam, and I learned so much things. And I'm working on my dream job, and I hope I will get it.
No,
There's
you
nothing
will.
impossible in this world.
You will get it, my wand. It's not hope. We will get it, my wand. Right? We will.
Sure, I will.
That's right.
That's right, Daddy Hoots. You
Own
tell
it,
him.
baby. Own it. Own it.
So we call Adam Daddy Hoots. He's Papa Hoots.
Lots of little ones call me that. I love children. But so we've got Miss Santa on the stage. She's awesome as well. Love hearing from her in every aspect of possible here. We've been telling stories of lean journeys on our job sites. We've been making connections worldwide with Felipe, who, oh, by the way, knows Mr. Deming.
I don't personally
Miss
know
Santa,
him, Adam. It's like I just study. I'm just a Deming fanboy, and I always think of
Oh,
him. I
man.
like to keep a living memory of Deming and some of his contemporaries. So I hope I didn't misrepresent. I read his books quite a bit, and I always feel like he's still with me to this day. I never had the pleasure of meeting him in person, but I feel like I have with all the videos I watched of him.
We got to connect more on that anyway, Felipe. You know him more than I do. I'll put it to you that way. I've got a ton of admiration, though.
Right on, man. It's gonna happen. And if you're in the audience and you raise your hand, we will pay attention to you and bring you on. But Sana, you want to say hi to everybody? We haven't heard from you in a little bit.
Yeah. I've been on vacation, so getting back on all the habits here, right? Getting up early again. So jumping in. So yeah, I'm not in the construction world. I actually is in the manufacturing world, in the electronic components. But I love about everything about lean and lean product development and all the habits. And what I learned a lot about is always to look into different industries. So when I found this group on Clubhouse, I was just, yes, I can learn, looking into other industries. And I think it's fun because I've been in lean and interested in lean product development for more than 20 years. And then I've never, and I don't know why, never thought about that. Of course, it also lives in lean construction. So it's just fun how that, even though you are in different worlds and in different industries, that suddenly something can pop up and you can still learn. It's just, I love it. And I love this group. So yeah. So let's continue on the topic that you're talking about today.
Thank you, Sana. We love that. Yeah, today we're talking about stories from construction projects that have had a tale of some lean principles in play and what you learned. So we've heard from a few folks here listening in. I'm going to need to tap into my good friend Jesse. Jesse, I've got to roll out a meeting with one of my mentors today, Greg. And Greg taught me the power of giving it away. And so what I'm going to go do, I'm going to spend some quality time with Greg today and tomorrow. And he's going to set up some things for me to learn even better how to give away what I learned. So I'm going to bow out of here gracefully and just ask that Jesse double duty my energy and bring it out. So love you all. Have a great rest of your day. See you all soon.
We'll miss you,
Boom.
Felipe.
Be cool. Well, he's gone, man. So Adam, who's got the sound
He is
effects?
gone.
Marcus, Adam?
I got some sound effects, Jesse. We
now
can play
we're
with them if you
talking.
want.
Oh man,
You know,
yeah. Surrounding oneself with amazing people that challenge them to grow. Like, if I've ever been able to say, add that to a list of accomplishments, I would say that this group in this room exactly accomplishes that. And we just got Mr. Jubei up on stage. How you doing, sir? What you got?
Good morning. Man, lean. I love this topic. It works for me on both sides when I used to be in construction and now in manufacturing. Oh, I got my little one walking around, and I hear the vibe here. It lines up with what I believe in. You know, it's like quality work. It's for my end users, family, people. Well, so I'm thinking like lean needs to be like better used in the why box. If I was a customer and I had like $5 billion budget, and I go to someone, I said, build XYZ for me. Why does the design team, the engineering crew, eat up half that budget when to me all my raw materials and labor and cost is really on the back end, but these guys take almost a 50% chunk out of my budget. At least that's how I've seen it around the world.
Oh man, you know, Jabe, as a former plumber and working in the building or standing up of buildings, that's always a question in my head is like what not necessarily around the money. My complaint is around the time. Like where we started construction and design is still happening. Like why is this? What is the deal? And it was previously it was very easy for me to take a stance and assign blame to the stakeholders that were further up or earlier in the value stream. And that, as a trade partner, right, working for a mechanical contractor, it was easy to say, man, if the GCs would just figure their business out, things wouldn't be so tough. Then I went to the general contractor world, and this may not be a surprise to y'all, but it was a surprise to me. They have the same damn problems that trade partners have. And so general contractor is like, man, if the client would just figure out what they wanted and didn't push their problems down on us, things would be so much better. Now, I haven't spent a lot of space or time in the client owner space, but my thinking is that they probably have a lot of similar problems that everyone throughout the value stream has. And if there's anybody that can speak to the problems that clients and owners deal with, it is Miss Brittanie. Miss Brittanie, you have any insight on that?
Brittany has now went to solve some of those problems at the day job right now, on a meeting, solving some of those right now.
10-4. No, appreciate it. But so with Jabat, to your point, there is a gap. It's clear. If all the funds or resources, whether that's time, money, etc., are being consumed disproportionately, everybody, and here's another issue that I get to see and even repeat myself, is it's very easy for me to see a problem or even tackle a problem only from my perspective, only from my understanding of that problem. And part of the problem solving thinking requires us to go out, investigate, and deeply understand the current condition, which means understanding the problem from everyone's perspective, because the pain that you're feeling, Jabai, and that I've felt, that all of us have felt, is a shared pain. We're just, because it's so acute, we only feel like we're the only ones suffering from the outcomes of these poorly designed systems. And so objectifying the problem and the situation will enable us to approach it from a systems perspective. And I've said systems 2 times, and I know Adam is itching to jump in and talk about
That's my cue,
systems
baby.
thinking.
Jesse, man, you just sparked, and Jube, I love the comments. You sparked kind of a thought in mind when you're talking about getting out and seeing and going to. I'd love to tell you my first implementation of the last planner system. Can I tell a quick story? Is that okay, Jesse?
Bring it, big dog, bring it.
So, like Brittany said, and like Felipe shared, both of their first times trying to implement lean failed. I guess I could put it that way. I hope they don't mind since they're not here with us anymore. Rest their souls. God bless them. my first time, I can tell you, definitely failed. It was at Clemson Core Campus. It was about the same timing, about 8 years ago. It must have been something in the water, something in the wind. But I tried to implement Last Planner because my boss made me. He said, you're going to learn this lean stuff and you're going to love it. And you're going to do it. And you're going to own it. You're going to be our lean champion. So I laid out these boards right 8 weeks ahead of time. I had procurement boards. I had delivery boards. I visualized everything. Well, guess what? I was the only one that used them. I was the only one that put any time into them. But we still pool planned, right? We still called it good. And hey, yeah, this is what should be going on. Well, why isn't this going on? And but nothing was even like really ever getting done. And so one day I was like just fed up with it. I was pissed off. I was like, man, I am laboring my ass off, Jubei. I hope Jubei is still with us because he's the only reason I talk like this in rooms. He gets me fired up. But I am laboring my ass off, pull planning, making these sticky notes, talking to these trades, like making a plan, implementing the plan, and it's failing week after week after week after week, and it's a broken record, and I'm sick of it. Like, and so I grabbed the sticky notes and I grabbed the plumber and I grabbed the framer and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, well, I'm waiting on you on that floor. And he's like, no, I'm waiting on you on that floor. And I was like, this is bullshit. Let's go, guys. Bullshito. Like, no more bullshito. Get your sticky notes and let's walk out to the job site into the field. And we did so. And we walked up to the level floor on building D. And I'll never forget it because I walked into one end of the hallway and he's like, you see that wall right there? It's 4 inches out of place. I can't put my pipe in there. I've already core drilled and it won't go in. So I need that wall reframed before I can put. And then on the other side, it was, I need that pipe and I need your core drills before I can go and move my wall. And so they were right. Both of them were right. I was waiting on you on this floor and I was waiting on you on that floor. But nobody was getting anything done because it was 2 separate rooms. So until we actually like went to the Gemba, until we went to the space where we were like, oh, okay. And we looked at it in a smaller batch, not in like a whole floor, but like a room. And then it clicked for me, Jesse. And then it was like, I understand now, like what is going on? Like we have to listen with intention. We have to ask the right question. If we just said who's waiting on who on level 4, I'm waiting on him, he's waiting on me, nobody's doing anything. But if I say who's waiting on level 4 north side, it could be the same thing. Or if I say who's waiting on level 4D room 2, 482, then we know exactly who's waiting on who. And we narrow it down, when we break that elephant down into a trunk, whatever else we might want to break down on an elephant, an ear, etc. So Jesse, I guess that's my first my first time dealing with Last Planner system was a terrible mess. I mean, it was a mess, and I just don't even want to go there. But we, from that experience, again, learning how to twist lean, how to not even use the word lean because it does bother some people. In fact, I love making other lean, I call them consultants because they are consultants. We're not all consultants. Some people are coaches, but the consultants out there that implement lean, you don't implement lean, you create lean. You analyze current conditions, as I think you said, Jesse. You find out, I think I heard Felipe say, I come to where you are, which I really, really love that approach. That's such a wise thing to say, because I'm not just going to enforce or implement something. I'm going to come to where you are and we're going to create this together. Yeah, we have an arsenal of tools. We've got tool bags that go on for days, but not every tool is right for the job. So let's find the right one. Let's customize that tool and then let's apply it and make sure that we get the most value out of it. So I'll yield the floor back. I guess any thoughts on that, Jubei, Jesse, anybody else thoughts?
I love it, man. This is Jubei here. If it's okay, I'd like to add in. Oh, man. So I believe in lean. I'm part of that continuous improvement lifestyle. I totally align with the idea that you come to where I come to you kind of approach. To me, that aligns with my tailor, customized solutions to my, I'm a business. I got to do it my way. I got to be profitable and compliant at the same time. Always looking for the edge, always trying to implement latest technologies when it makes sense for the right tool, for the right job. 100%. Hell yeah. My thing, when I was talking about earlier, was more like the mistakes done by the design team. Because on the manufacturing side, this is just how I've seen it, and it's not Bible. I think the power of influence on the manufacturing side, because it's such a smaller scope, the audience and the impact is under maybe a smaller roof, versus like when you're in the construction field, wherever you do that work, you have government that has to do some approvals. That shit doesn't exist that way at the same impact, at least the way I've seen it. Like when I do any medical device or manufacturing, you know, equipment, they got to follow construction code too. Um, but I'm thinking like these guys in the design team, when they submit their plans, they added time for their mistakes because they didn't know that the environment required a specific type of XYZ, because the environment, like maybe in Hawaii, you had to build all these things, but if you bought screws and bolts that deteriorate close to this type of like saltwater air, you're fucked. Oh, sorry. Let me just pull back, pump my brakes. Kind of, that's why the cost of the design always goes up, because then they go back and forth with the government who has to approve the permit, and then your cost keeps going up because the time, that to me is the why, the mess up, where the improvement that can be made is like, look, man, you guys made so much mistakes. Look at how long it took you to get your plans approved in this country, in this state. Maybe you're good in one state, but don't use the same crew if they don't know what to do, like another country.
Oh, Jabay, that thank you. You gave me a little bit of a flashback. I'm tweaking over here a little bit. We did a data center here in San Antonio. It was like the very first data center I had ever worked on. It was before the year started with the 2. There was a 1 in front of it, and we were installing. Man, we were catching hell trying to find these super ballistic rated louvers because and seismic bracing, because the design was performed or developed in California, and we're in Texas, and we didn't need that stuff. But again, it was an individual designing from a frame of reference that was not applicable to where the design was going to be deployed. And we got Alan up on the stage, so I'm gonna be selfish. We got Alan, we got Sana, we got Jabay that are in the manufacturing space. And Jabay, you've got particular insight, having played in construction and manufacturing. So Alan, I'm assuming you have some insight or thoughts that you can share with Jabay about his situation. And along with that, I'm gonna ask the 3 of y'all, like, give us some, please, or not us, just give me some corrections. Help me calibrate my thinking to think beyond my construction sandbox. Mr. Allen, what you got for Mr. Jabay?
I came up just to laugh because Juve is always so funny to listen to. Hold on, pump the brakes. Let's walk it back a little bit, and then Adam's super delayed censoring of. I just love this community. But yeah, certainly I'll introduce myself. I'm Alan. I Stephanie recently introduced me to this term that I super love. I won't steal it from her, and so I'll credit her with it. It's tech before the tech, and I'm a technician through and through. I studied in university. My bachelor's in science has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now, but certainly it's helped me quite a bit in terms of being able to think very systematically, methodically, and in a very incremental approach, which I think is very important in lean construction, manufacturing, however you want to term the industries. To me, I think the umbrella that brings everything together is operations, and operations applies to any industry and all industries. And when I think about operations, it's really about having a system in place, trusting the process, and then executing on it. And so I think about it in maybe 5 key points. One is do you have a methodology of giving feedback? And then do you have a methodology of pulling in the stakeholders to discuss that feedback? And key point for me here is, are you involving the frontline workers, because they're stakeholders too? A lot of the times we get into these convoluted hour-long, 2-hour-long meetings, and it's only the managers, it's only the middle management, it's only the engineers, and then the folks that are actually encountering this problem, that raised it, that know exactly what's going on, that who are the originators of the feedback in the first place. Where are they? Where's their quote unquote stake in this? And they have to deal with the headache of manufacturing ineffectively with bottlenecked flow. And I know Adam likes to talk about theory of constraint, and I can talk to Adam about that all day. But those are the first 2 points. So feedback, discuss, and then now, are you executing on it? What's the timeline on that? Is there a clear cut-in plan? Does it impact production? Because heads up, production is always going to be running, and management doesn't care what the problem is, just get the job done. So you have all of these ideas on how to improve the process, but how are we ensuring that our targets are still getting hit at the same time? So is your cut-in plan robust enough so that you can accomplish that? And many times, it's lackluster. It leaves rooms to be desired. And again, if you involve the stakeholders, they may have an idea or two. They call it tribal knowledge, and you really need to tap into that information, because it's a disservice to everyone when you're thinking about continuous improvement. Not to do that is just poor business sense. So 3 is execute, and then 4, you want to have an effectiveness review. You want to make sure that whatever you put in place, that even if you have discussed with all the stakeholders, that you're really truly evaluating, does it impact any of the processes upstream and downstream? Because it might work for operations, it might work for manufacturing, but is there impact to quality? Is there impact to finance? These things, when we talk about changes, we need to take less of a siloed approach and make sure that all departments are being served, and that it's a sustainable way forward. Because you push through a change, and then another department down the road says, this is impacting our bottom line. We can't balance the books. And so you really need to think about the tech before the tech. I don't know how to put it any other way, because there's, behind the technology, behind the process, behind anything, there's a human, and there's a person who is showing up day in, day out, putting in the reps, and getting the job done. And it's a disservice to have poor communication, and then to have, on the other hand, a nice, tidy, pretty list of policies on how strong the culture is on the wall, and everything is falling apart when you walk into the shop floor. And I guess the 5th point, just to tie it all together, is you got to stay lean, you got to stay agile, you got to make sure that any of your processes aren't convoluted in a way that you can't just, to Adam's point, go to the Gemba and figure out what the hell is wrong. Done speaking.
Alan, if I can just jump in for a second. Also, a part of what the tech before the tech is the unspoken. We talk culture, but I also think there's politics, and I don't think that the discussion, because I think it isn't, in my experience, it's kind of been a dirty experience. But politics in any situation are what muddy the water.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Submitting permits in different governments, tip the taker is a real thing. Not part of the topic, but I wanted to add in the one statement for lean that I see that's different between the 2 industries I got to play in. Manufacturing lives that life is, you see something, say something. Because, everyone that walks in through those doors, they understand the impact of product quality and product quality and patient safety, at least in the tough ones, right? I mean, it's not like you're making paper, they have the same lifestyle. But in construction, it's hard to push that. The only place I see that happening, like back a long time ago when I was an inspector, I used this one application called Posse. And this was kind of like our, in the government side, they used to use for, project reviews. It tracked everything. But if you have all this data and you don't do shit with it, it don't mean nothing. That's it.
I'm ready. I got it on tap. Come on, Jubei. Preach, baby. Hey, y'all, I've got to drop off the conversation. I think, Jesse, we got to be completely.
Yeah, I was gonna just this was actually a really good conversation. Just gonna end it now, so we have some more fuel to be able to talk to after this. So thank you very much for attending this conversation. This has actually been really fun. Jube, this is the first time I actually heard you speak with so much passion. I appreciate it. So,
Don't get Jubei and I
cool.
started now. Don't get Jubei and I started here. It'll be dangerous.
Thanks,
I
everybody.
definitely have some ideas and definitely some topics to go with this. So, but thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
100%. Loved it, Marcus. Thank you, sir.
Thanks all.
Thanks, sir.